Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Kristen Wiedenmuller, host of TE Tech Talks and Communications Manager for TE's Global Engineering and Technology community. For those of you who are new to TE Tech Talks, this series highlights groundbreaking technology designed by TE's tech entrepreneur customers and the connectivity and sensor solutions TE engineers develop in partnership with those customers. Throughout the ongoing webinar series, we will look at innovation around the Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, 5G, vehicle-to-everything connectivity, and more. Today, I'm happy to introduce the team from commonSENSE, makers of both fully tailored and scalable monitoring solutions. Recently, TE engineers had the opportunity to partner with the commonSENSE team to develop a groundbreaking solution for the pharmaceuticals industry. During our presentation today, the commonSENSE team will talk about how their solution supports regulatory demand within the life sciences workspace and helps keep the end user safe, delivering a new, highly accurate and dependable benchmark in monitoring the production, storage, and distribution of critically sensitive goods. They will also share their insights on how partnering with TE helped them mitigate future process failures with the use of smart digital monitoring devices and systems. Joining us from the UK today are the commonSENSE team. Paul Humphreys, Chief Executive Officer.
Hi.
Andrew Mills, Chief Technology Officer.
Hi.
Carl Jenks, Chief Financial Officer.
Hi.
And Travis R. Herlock, Chief Marketing Officer.
Hi, everybody.
Also joining the conversation from TE is Michael Basil, Project Manager for Sensor Solutions, specializing in temperature sensor components and complex sensor systems. Welcome to you all.
Hello.
Thank you.
A few quick notes for our audience before we begin. As always, we welcome your feedback and questions, which you can submit through the Q&A box on your screen. We'll make sure to leave some time at the end to answer those questions. In the resources box, you will find links to learn more about the solutions discussed today. And by clicking on the speaker bio icon at the bottom of your screen, you can learn a bit more about our speakers, including their contact information to follow up with them directly. Also at the bottom of the screen, you can share comments directly on Twitter and LinkedIn. And lastly, within the next day, you will receive an email with a link to replay today's conversation. So let's go ahead and get started. commonSENSE, you all recognized a need for improvement in the pharmaceuticals industry when it came to the monitoring the integrity of sensitive goods. Paul, can you share a bit about how you identified this gap and determined that it was something you could offer a solution to?
Hi, yeah. So, parent company for commonSENSE, VQS Limited. Carl and myself, heavily involved in VQS. As part of what we do as VQS is we maintain, monitor, and provide regulatory services to the pharma and life science industries. And one of their key functions is we maintain a lot of competitor systems to ours that do environmental monitoring. Those systems, functionally, they're fine, but they have a lot of flaws. One of the big flaws is in the user interface, which was one of our key elements, is to get a user interface that fitted the regulatory environment that was required. The second one was the maintainability and the time taken for calibration of devices. Typically, a transmitter such as this box here would house all of the electronics that would be for a passive sensor similar to this sensor here. So we then decided, after engaging with TE, that our solution would be to provide a solution where a sensor like this that has all of the electronics in the head there that is typically found in the transmitter, to make it a smart solution. That is the groundbreaking element of our system. Once we decided on that, that was then our ethos for the company, is to make everything smart and make everything user-friendly.
Excellent. Carl, can you explain a little bit more about the specific temperature monitoring probe solution and how it solves the problem of environmental monitoring from a regulatory perspective?
Hi, yes. So any temperature sensitive product, there's a regulatory requirement that you must have independent monitoring. So from experience and working with our clients, one of the challenges that they have during regulatory audits is in locating regulatory compliant documentation. So one of the things we wanted to do was to have the facility within the system so that calibration data, calibration certificates and regulatory compliant documentation was readily available. So one of the things that we've got within our system is that from the sensor ID, you can actually navigate and download or upload the calibration data for the sensor. So it makes it much easier for the client in terms of when they're being audited, all of the information is at hand for them.
Wow. And Andy, what design challenges did you face in the development of the probe, and what motivated the initial conversation between commonSENSE and TE?
So from my perspective, the biggest challenge was in developing a common communications protocol for any sensor that we plug into our system. Once that was defined, it was really up to Paul to discuss with TE the exact requirements about accuracy of the sensors. So I'm going to pass over to Paul to explain a little bit more.
Okay, from purely down to sensor technology, exterior out of, all Andy was really interested in is what the data he got from the sensor, so from the electronics. That was a bit that Andy dealt with. On terms of the sensor technology, we needed a sensor that had the right accuracy, that had the right range, that had the right responsiveness, and that once we packaged it all together, within the housing, we've got something called stem conduction that we had to take account of. We needed to make sure that it was easily calibratable, because we're now unique in that our sensor solutions are all calibrated in a controlled laboratory environment to UCAS standards, whereas competitors, they have their transmitters with these passive sensors connected that make it very difficult to calibrate. You then have to go to site and calibrate them at site, or remove the complete system, get it sent back to an independent calibrator. So our solution with TE making these sensors on our behalf and then sorting out the design for us has given us a real unique aspect that nobody else has at the moment.
Wow. Travis, how did partnering with TE help your team develop your expansive portfolio and additional delivery solutions?
One of the great things that TE have brought to the table is confidence. So we're dealing with large corporate enterprises, global entities, and when they decide to move, they move fast and in a big way. So TE has brought the ability to resonate that confidence through our company. And we know that if we are promising a client, we can deliver. Just to give you an example of that, Michael Basel from TE Sensors Dortmund, Germany, and the team have worked collaboratively with us in a very, very concise way, very professional. And even when we were working on specialist projects, they were able even to send a courier on a plane to deliver something that we needed very, very quickly. So above and beyond is exactly what we get from TE. Another thing that they do is they take an avid interest in what we're doing. So by that, I mean on a granular level. So what happened was the team flew out to China, which is where everything's happening. We went to a lot of trade shows there in Shenzhen and Hong Kong. And what we're able to do with the guys at TE is them taking that interest in us has brought a really great product to the table, and they're also there for the future. So we get the quality assurance, accuracy that's second to none. We're able to produce more and more devices. We have a huge range coming out, and we'll educate the audience more on that later. TE are very active in the IoT 4.0 space, which is of great interest to us as a company. And people are defined by their actions, and that couldn't be more true than what we've seen through TE. Because this stuff is very, very important. And not only have you got the fiscal cost, we're protecting very, very valuable commodity, but you also have the human cost as well. And if it saves lives and it saves millions of pounds worth of stock worldwide, then we've done our job well, and so have TE. So, yes, there we go. That's mine.
Thank you. That's a great story. And Michael, how did you get involved with working with commonSENSE, and what were some of the opportunities you identified for helping them solve for their specific application?
Basically, our account manager built a link between the team at commonSENSE and the development team here in Dortmund. And basically, communication was the key to build a good foundation and understand the needs of commonSENSE, the challenges that they are facing, and provide a customer-tailored solution that fits exactly their demands and works well in an environment of digital interfaces and cloud-based environmental sensing that commonSENSE now have built. And basically, in cooperation with them, we have developed a pretty smart temperature probe which fits perfectly in their cloud system.
Great, thank you. And Andy, it sounds like a lot of development has been put into this. Is there an opportunity to utilize this technology in some of your other applications?
So the entire ethos with commonSENSE was that we wanted to develop a system where you could plug any measurement device into it and you'd be able to report to the cloud. So at the moment we have temperature and humidity that we're working with TE to build, but in the future we're looking at CO2, O2, flow sensors for liquid and gas, and a variety of other solutions that through our work with TE we hope to collaboratively develop some more smart sensors.
Just to add to that, the ethos of the company is, and the name commonSENSE, we come up with the name commonSENSE because we have a system that we believe, with the technology that Andy for the data communication with TE has built in, we now have transmitters that will accept any sensor input using that technology. So if we have a customer that comes to us and says they have got a problem that they need to solve with a monitoring solution, they tell us what the problem is. With our cooperation with TE, we will be able to develop that sensor to overcome that solution. And that's how we come up with the name commonSENSE.
Great information. Thanks for sharing that. So Travis, I think it was you who mentioned earlier that cloud-based technology is driving the IoT 4.0 revolution. What is commonSENSE's vision for future environmental monitoring solutions?
The most important thing here for us as a company and what we found with TE was that commonSENSE offer a 4-year subscription-based program. So our clients aren't just only interested in what we can provide now, they're also very excited in what we can provide at the end of that 4-year cycle. So partnering with TE enables us to keep innovating, keep thinking about what the client needs. So no longer is this technology just about the engineer on the ground. It's open, the connected world is opening up these sensors and information to a very, very diverse demographic. And you've got a whole broad spectrum of people being empowered with the kind of information that we can provide on a more global basis. We're talking about thousands of warehouses worldwide, trucks and vans, and it gives the user what they want. So, for example, big data, high-performance analytics. commonSENSE are also working on an insights program, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and we're also able to create product integrity hubs. So if you imagine a whole wall of liquid crystal displays where they can monitor multiple sites within one zone. So that's very important to site directors and so on and so forth. So another thing that we're working on is feeds from the Meteorological Society, and we're able to develop trends and work on statistics and build that into part of our machine learning. Another knock-on effect of some of the technology that we've produced is that in a 210,000 square foot warehouse that we're currently working on, our client has actually been able to save a significant amount on the temperature, maintaining the temperature in that facility, for example. So energy usage and the HVAC system. So it has a group of knock-on effects and privileges, and we're learning all the time, and we're also bringing this capability into our portal.
Great, thank you. So just a reminder, the audience can submit questions to commonSENSE using the Q&A box. We've already gotten our first one. So how do you see tech trends such as 5G shaping the technology you're developing?
So one of the things that we're looking at now is cold chain distribution. So for the delivery of products through vehicles, technology such as 5G enables us to put the loggers and the sensors into the vehicles, and we can track that temperature from the warehouse to the delivery endpoint. I think that's
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's live data. That's live temperature data through the duration of the transportation of whatever the product might be. So it's real-time data, basically.
So that handles the whole cold chain distribution cycle. So, for example, point of manufacture, from storage to being out on the road and making sure that that's safe and fit for human consumption. So that's exactly what we're doing here with 5G and 4G technologies.
So another question just came in. What do you see as the next opportunity for developing solutions for IoT technology?
Well, one thing that we are currently looking into is smart cities. We are in communication with a prospective client of ours for smart cities and exploring that space. Travis has had more to deal with that than me, so Travis might be able to elaborate a little bit more on that. But that's where we see the evolution of our system, because the more we can get involved in the IoT workspace, the better it's going to be for our platform.
So one of the things there is we obviously have a user interface, and it has tiered access to privileges. So we're able to appropriate the right information to the right customer, and in a connected world, we're also able to bring other elements, as we explained, not just temperature and humidity, but other key areas of interest to the client.
Thank you. All right, we have a question for Paul. How did this team come together? What's the commonSENSE story, and what's the overall mission of the company?
Okay, so the commonSENSE team came together. So VQS Limited, as the parent company, is myself and Carl. We are the two major shareholders in VQS. So we recognised a gap in the market where we could provide what we believe a better user interface and a better solution for environmental monitoring. Once we come up with that idea, then we quickly realised that both Andy and Travis could offer something quite significant to the team. And that's where the team came together. Andy from his technical expertise on the user interface, and Travis with his expertise in the marketing and the visual aspect of everything. Because one thing that our system, or one of our key aspects that we differ from everybody else, our user interface is very user intuitive, and it's very pleasing on the eye compared to a lot of competitor systems out there that are built for an end-line engineer. It's functional, but doesn't look good. Ours is functional, it looks good, and we have built it with a client of VQS's in mind that has helped us develop the regulatory aspect of it. So it fits everything from how the reports come out, that they're electronically signed, that they don't have to have paper trails, that the reports have all the information that is required for regulatory submission so that they can release their products, that the alarming is appropriate to their needs, the way the alarms go out to the end users, how they're acknowledged, that when they want to pull up their calibration tickets in an audit scenario, that they're easily accessible. Then we get onto the sensor technology, which has been the four of us collaborative, that word, with TE to get to the end point. So that's how we came together. Initially a small team. We are growing rapidly at the moment. The four of us that you see here is just the face of TE, commonSENSE. Yeah, we're backed with TE as well, and we've got an extensive team here that carry out the day-to-day tasks.
Great, thanks for sharing that origin story with us. So another question, is the new sensor solution designed specifically for companies in life sciences and pharma, or does it have applications in other industries as well?
I think it has applications in any sort of monitoring environment. So we designed it with pharma and life sciences in mind because Carl and Paul here have the background in that industry and they have the contacts in that industry. But this applies to food distribution, it applies to things like data centers. Anywhere where there's a requirement for environmental monitoring, our system we believe is suitable.
And to coincide with that, we are also currently looking at the requirements for hazardous area, so that we can go into an explosive environment and the requirements around that. So we're not looking just solely at the life sciences industry. That's our starting point. That's where we've come from because we do have the background in that. But there's no reason to suggest that this couldn't go into any industry, any monitoring, any environment that you want to monitor, or any scenario, this system would fit.
But within the life science industry, it's a highly regulated industry, so it's a high-end product. So we're starting at the very high end. So it could go into pretty much any industry from where it started from its starting point.
Yeah, if you set your benchmark with the level of accuracy that this industry requires, which is exactly what we've achieved in working with TE, it's pretty much fit for food and distribution and making sure that things are kept in a safe, sustainable environment. And we are your first alert should things go above or below temperature or not be in the environment that they should actually be kept in. So yeah, I think the level of quality and the level of detail that we've gone to in producing a fully validated system certainly resonates and is more than capable of monitoring and alerting individuals to other areas and other elements of industry.
So along those lines, what's next for commonSENSE?
Good question.
So from my perspective, what's next? Michael will know that we've got a few other sensors shortly coming out, and we've got coming out. We're also looking at the water industry and smart technology to control the flow of water for buildings and to reduce the global impact on water usage.
Leakages.
Yeah, and for leak detection as well. And we're also looking that this is considered in our minds at the moment an independent monitoring system that sits above any control aspects, but there's no reason that once we've mastered every aspect of this side that we want for just the monitoring as an independent monitoring, that then we could go to having control elements of it where we could provide outputs to then do anything. It could go into smart homes for argument's sake. We can take this anywhere. We could have outputs coming off of this that could control people's lights. We can go anywhere with this.
One of the main areas that we're moving into, because we have 3 business offerings, some to be released, say, sort of Q3, Q4 this year. We have commonSENSE Pro, which is our business-to-business corporate service level agreement. So that's a 4-year subscription agreement where we fully manage and fully maintain and validate the client's system. Then we will be releasing commonSENSE Go. Now that's mass market, so that's independent pharmacies, delis, and what we would do is we're looking at working with TE to provide a sensor exchange service. So as soon as one comes up for calibration, we could automatically dispatch one, the returned item gets sterilized and repurposed. So it's environmentally friendly as well, and we're helping sort of create a sustainable business model there. And the other area is commonSENSE Move, which is trucks and vans, and exactly the same sort of scenario there.
Well, thank you for that insight. And thank you all for the great conversation today. Andrew, Paul, Carl, and Travis, thank you for sharing your insights about monitoring solutions and the sensor technology that's making your products possible. To Michael, thank you for talking about your experience with working with the commonSENSE team. And to our audience, thank you for taking time to tune in, asking some great questions, and learning more about the solutions from commonSENSE. As I mentioned earlier, tomorrow you will receive an email with a link to watch today's presentation on demand. If you enjoyed today's program, please share posts about it with your networks on Twitter and LinkedIn. And don't forget to visit our registration page and sign up for upcoming TE Tech Talks. We are always adding new programs, so check back often. Thanks for your time and joining in today's Tech Talk conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.